Hello, hello. I am on live. How's my sound? It turned out yesterday my mic wasn't even plugged in. So now I'm like looking around like, well, what don't I have plugged in today? But it seemed like when I checked the video that the sound was fine. So good to know that I don't even really need a mic, huh? Especially since it blocks the view of my necklaces. And we can't have that. Where do we go? There. How do we get the necklaces in the shot? Like that? I didn't make either of these. So today I'm not showing anything off. I didn't make my earrings either. You can barely see them, but they're really cute. Let me just show you real quick. They are little tiny turtles. Can you see that? Let's see if I can grab something that'll show it better. Like there. Little tiny turtle on a really cool blue glass. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see it, right? Adorable. I have a thing for turtles. My mommy had a thing for turtles, so that's like my little spirit animal to feel connected to her since she passed away about 3 years ago. So it does not look like it's working. Is it working? Maybe it wasn't plugged in because now the blue light's on. So frustrating. Anyway, should I start over or should I just go ahead? I'll just go ahead, even though I might have to like erase the first few minutes if it was silent theater. Just let people know it's a Charlie Chaplin video. Okay, so I'm coming at you live at about 4:15 on September 4th, 2025, Thursday. It's a beautiful day here in Ohio. Patricia Moss, hello, my dear. Turtles and frogs are my spirit animals. Awesome. I was thinking about you last night, honey. And I want to apologize that I do have trouble tracking like who I've spoken to about what, because you said we had those conversations about Oregon before. You said that yesterday. And yeah, I remember the conversations. I just don't remember the person. So now that I have it all tied together, hopefully I'll do better with you. And also, I didn't know if I'd said in the past that I went to graduate school in Belmont, California, if you knew that. So right near Palo Alto. I was at the college in Notre Dame, living in the city in San Francisco. And I had a cousin at the time who was doing pre-med at Stanford. So I went down there a couple of times to hang out with her at the fancy college. I mean, Notre Dame was pretty fancy too. I didn't say that, you did. Right. But yeah, we had that conversation. I know. The whole thing with Oregon and the past, the history of the racism there. It's crazy, especially in that area around Eugene, because Interstate 5 divides Springfield and Eugene is very left wing and Springfield is very right wing. And there's a lot of racist violence. But yes, we had that conversation. Yeah. So we don't need to have it again. I know. And also I was just thinking how crappy it is to talk about stuff like that. I mean, it's crappy to talk about sexual abuse too, is it not? It looks like one of my blue lights fell down. Let's see if I can recover it. I don't know. Can I? I think I can. 1 second. No, it's going to be one thing after another. Like freaking Amelia Bedelia or something, or slapstick comedy. It's not funny. My set's falling apart. I know. I am silly about all my lights and everything, but it's just kind of my thing. It just kind of relaxes me. So, let's see. There we go. And I think I have a way to keep that from happening again. No, stop. Okay, I'm going to give up for the moment. Like I said, slapstick comedy. So let's talk about the case, the freaking Epstein files. There's so much going on with it. I don't even know where to begin. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, and learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Please hit that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Straighten out your tranquility. No, I can't fiddle with stuff. You know my rule. Rules are meant to be broken, right? Turn on your notification bell to ring and share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like. Sometimes I don't like texting because you took the last thing I said was like I was dismissing you. Oh, sweetheart, I'm sorry. I know. That's the problem with text is like you just don't know what is like, you know. It's easy to misread. Have you ever read the texting fight on Key and Peele? It got very famous. I'll put a link to it in the description. It is so funny because they're having the same conversation. And one of them thinks that everything is cool and the other one thinks that everything is like a slam. And it's hilarious because, yeah, I think we've all been there. Me apologize. So I think I titled this something about how Dear Leader completely tied himself to Alex Acosta and that illegal sweetheart deal with Epstein down in Florida in 2008. He tied himself to that crime and all the crimes around it, in my opinion, by appointing Alex Acosta to be his labor secretary in his first administration. So Alex Acosta was like the most difficult one of all of his appointees to either cabinet, first or second time around. I want to say even more difficult than Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz stepped down. But now we understand more about why Matt Gaetz was being appointed to be in the position of Pam Bondi, because we know he would have been fine with covering up all of this crap. But, you know, Pam is too. She was not the attorney general in Florida until 2011, but stuff was going on with the little E case in Florida again, at least by 2014. In 2014, 2015, 2016, there was a lot going on with the Trumpstein files. But when Alex Acosta was in that position of labor secretary, or secretary of labor, he was basically forced to step down and resign. I think it was the day that little E was arrested. If it wasn't the same day, it was right after in 2019, because he'd only been appointed in 2018. And then, or it took that long to get confirmed. I don't actually know when he was appointed, but he was confirmed 2018. So just over a year later, he was forced to resign. And now his name keeps coming up. Today's the 4th. On the 8th, he is allegedly scheduled to speak to someone, not Congress. It's a closed door meeting. It's just a conversation. It's not like it's a deposition or anything official like that. I'm just trying to make it so I can see my necklace. Dang it. It's 2 necklaces. This one is a really cool dark color that matches the earrings. Maybe hard to see. And then this one is that stone that's from the Dominican Republic, I think. I forget what it's called. Anyway, Anna Bees. Hey, girl. I'll make it my goal to figure out how to become a member. Oh, you're so sweet, Patricia. You're so nice. I appreciate you. I appreciate all my viewers. I honestly do. It's just hard to track them all. You know, it's hard to track computer crap for me. And then tracking these cases kind of comes second nature. But then doing a little presentation on screen is definitely a challenge. I mean, I'm no stand-up comedian, although wouldn't that be cool, right? And I do try to put some comedy into the cases because they're so heavy. They're so depressing. But right now is a really good time, in my opinion, if you're wanting to get justice for these victims, these survivors of little e. It looks like justice is coming, and it looks like people on the wrong side of history, let's say, it looks like they're recognizing that. Again, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. I think Don Jr. and Don Sr. are both looking, I don't know, they've probably packed already. They probably already have a go bag, right? That they're actually probably on Vladdy's airplane right now. You know, he'll protect them, he'll keep them safe, and then they can commit more crimes over there. And Helby's here too. Hello. So nice to see everybody. So a lot has been going on. You know, I try to keep my focus when I'm watching other videos. I try to not get too distracted by looking down too many rabbit holes. But I also want to keep up to date so that when I come on live, I can share some stuff that you guys might already know about, or maybe you don't. Like the fact that the missing minute from the little E jail surveillance video has been recovered. Me not kidding. I already put the link in the description to the Occupy Democrats video where they talk about it with all the receipts and all the specifics around it. So in that video, the content creator shows the missing minute. And at first I was watching it thinking, well, it's not showing anything. It's just showing the door. I didn't realize all this time, I didn't realize until today, that when you're looking at the surveillance videotape from inside the jail cell, I knew that those weren't E's doors that the camera's close to. I knew that, but I thought they were trying to say that it was. So I knew that the video was basically useless. But apparently, E's doors are out across the railing on the other side of the wall. It's really hard to see. But in the missing minute, there's a whole bunch of guards hanging out around the door and moving around and doing stuff a few hours before it became official that he was unalive in there. So check out that missing minute. It's effing crazy. Another video that just dropped a few minutes ago, Adam Mockler put out a video about someone who worked in the administration, who's probably going to get fired now, if he hasn't been already, who went out on a date, not a Tinder date, but is it called Hitch? I think it's called Hitch. So this man went on a couple of dates with somebody who said she was an au pair, but she was really a reporter for that. I think it's a content creator for YouTube, but they're probably on a million platforms. Project Veritas. So this woman was an undercover reporter for Project Veritas, and she got him to speak about jizz, because the date was in July of 2025. And he also spoke about the little E files and how they were redacting all of the Republicans' names, all of the conservatives' names, but they were leaving in all of the Democrats' names. Yeah, who would think that they would do something like that? So why won't the files be released then, Donnie? Any special reason you don't want anyone to see all these redactions? He's making himself look so guilty with his shenanigans, with his total 180 of making his campaign platform that he's going to release the Epstein files, release the client list, all that crap. And then now he's just like, what? You're still talking about this? You're a disgusting person. We have so much success. Success, success, success. Talk about me and how successful I am in my delusions. I mean, seriously, I think he said that same type of thing yesterday when he was getting all huffy about the people that were presenting on the steps of Congress. You know, the survivors and their lawyers and their families. And then he flew the dumb planes overhead to literally silence the victims in real time, like literally. It reminds me of here in Ohio, there was, you know, all those Black Lives Matter rallies every weekend during the summer of 2020. And there were definitely issues with law enforcement that were very much Trumpster supporters, that were very against this whole BLM thing, and they were very against the peaceful protests. And so the law enforcement would do things here in Ohio where they would make a lot of noise, like run a tractor lawnmower, you know, like a ride-on lawnmower right by where somebody's trying to deliver a speech to a crowd of people, a nice peaceful protest. And just a lot of manipulative things like that. There were law enforcement here in Ohio that wondered why they couldn't just instruct their officers to literally shoot people in the kneecaps, the protesters. Didn't care if they were, what color they were. Just shoot them in the kneecaps, you know, not kill them, you know, maybe just with rubber bullets. Like, seriously, there was a police chief in Ohio that planned on doing that. And it was his officers who told him that they couldn't do that, that that was illegal, that police are not allowed to shoot unless they're intending to unalive. So it's crazy. And so, yeah, that's a really good example of giving pushback when someone in a position like that is being given illegal orders. So people in Congress need to recognize that. Mitch McConnell, a diabolical character, absolutely. There's something wrong with that man. Talk about turtles, right? There's something wrong with that man. He is, I think, going to be done with his political career come the end of this year. He's not running for re-election. He's been in Congress for 18 years, I think. I think it's like a record for anybody from Kentucky. I could be off in my number of years, but anyway, we know that he is a heavy hitter. He was a very, very powerful figure, and his wife was a very powerful figure. His wife was a senator, and he is a representative. So I think he had the position that Mike Johnson has now, being like the leader of the Speaker of the House. Well, I guess they just call the leader the Speaker of the House. So Mitch McConnell was the Speaker of the House for many years. And his wife was a senator. And his wife, just to give you a quick recap, or if you forgot, or if you never even knew about it, his wife's name is Elaine Chao, Chao. And she came from a very wealthy Asian family. She was one of 6 daughters. 3 of those daughters went to Harvard. She was one of the 3. Her little youngest sister, Angela Chao, who was the youngest of the 6, who also went to Harvard, died in that really bizarre Tesla car accident. It wasn't even a crash. She rolled her Tesla into a lake or a pond on her own property when she was just moving her car from one house to the other house. And she couldn't get out. And it was like a slow roll. It was a slow sink. I want to say the pond was only 6 feet deep too, but they couldn't get her out. Even the first responders couldn't get her out for like an hour or more, because the brilliant Big E Tesla's doors all lock when the car is submerged, or if the car's on fire, or I'm not sure what other situations, but the doors all lock automatically in situations where that is crazy. So this was one of those situations, and she was in the car. Her friends were on the land right there, and she was texting them, asking them to help her, and they were helpless. I think one of them even got in the water and tried. I'm pretty sure that one of them did before the first responders got there, because there were like ranch hands on the property that woke up and came out. It was like 11:30 at night. Anyway, this was just February last year. But Mitch McConnell and his wife, Elaine Chao, have a long sordid past with Trumpster fire. And part of that past is that his wife was the first person to resign on January 7th, I think, the day after the insurrection. And then she was also an active member of the board of directors for the Kennedy Center when Trumpster fire fired the entire board of directors. And a lot of other stuff too. But I also forgot to mention that the Chao family had a multi-billion-dollar enterprise with Chinese shipping. What a coincidence, huh? And the younger daughter, the 51-year-old Angela, when she passed away, I think she was 51, she had been the CEO. She was currently the CEO of that company that her father built up. And she had a small child. I think her son was like 3 years old. I don't know if she gave birth to him or had him by surrogate, but I knew she had a small kid. I thought he was a little bit older, but he was actually a little bit younger than I thought. Let's see. Well, that's not surprising. I thought of you this morning watching I've Had It. Jen and Pumps had a professor on who has studied the mind and actions of dictators for many years. Her name is Dr. Ruth Ben Buell. I will check that out. I love Jen and Pumps. I think Angie, Jen and Angie, I think are their names. But yeah, Pumps is cute. Cute little nickname. And yeah, they do a great job. They do a fantastic job. They've just hit 1 million subs. They have a lot of support. They have great community that they've built up. And they're getting a lot of hate too, which is good. You know, the hate empowers you. Of course, if you don't have hate, you're doing something wrong, right? So I think Fox News was hating them on their giant platform. I'm like, man, do they not realize that they're boosting the very channel that they're saying that they hate? So nobody tell them. Shh. Dr. Ruth Ben Buell. So very interesting. Thank you, Patricia. I'll have to check that out. Mitch has got to be 100 years old. No, I think he's only 88, Anna. He does look like a turtle. I know. And then every once in a while, he seems like he's going to do something really good. And then he just goes back to being Mitch McConnell. So he's not trustworthy. And, you know, I don't trust any of these Republicans who are trying to act like they care so much about the victims of the survivors. Like yesterday, I was mentioning Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. I was going to read you a thing about Nancy Mace. So they all acted like, yeah, we're in full support of them. You know, Nancy Mace says that she is one of them. Not that she was abused by little E or his cohorts, although maybe she was, but she has shared publicly that she was raped or essayed a couple of years ago. So she was in tears yesterday listening to the survivors speak, and she ran off, and that kind of made big news. And let me read this to you. It's very interesting. And is it going to allow me to do this? It's not going to allow me to do this. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. How am I going to get to it?
We can also mandate things like secure storage and ensuring.
Okay, I got it. So this is the article. It's from the Daily Beast. And it's from today. 11:23 a.m. Oh, did you guys know the new South Park is on Paramount now? It came out yesterday, so if you don't pay extra to get it the same day it comes out, you can watch it today. It's pretty funny. I already watched it. So this was written just a couple hours ago. Well, 11:30, a few hours ago, a handful. Congresswoman Nancy Mace delivered an impassioned defense of President Donald Trump after he dismissed calls to release the Epstein files just a day after she was seen crying with Epstein survivors. The South Carolina gubernatorial hopeful, 47, left a meeting with Epstein victims on Wednesday with her eyes brimming with tears. Mace said that she empathized with the survivors as a victim of sexual crimes herself. In February, Mace accused her ex-fiancé and 3 other men of sexual misconduct during a speech on the House floor. As a recent survivor, not in 2 years, I had a very difficult time listening to their stories. Full-blown panic attack, sweating, hyperventilating, shaking, I can't breathe, Mace shared on her X account. God bless all survivors. But the MAGA Republican was quick to defend Trump after he batted away calls to release the Epstein files as a Democratic hoax. I'm so sick of that word. But like I said, he really gives himself away. As soon as he says that word, you know he's effing around, right? Just dropped you an email to remind you to watch this. I've had it because you probably are being so preoccupied with your sick little one. She's doing so much better. She's home again today, but she's like sewing her Halloween costume. So I think she's good to go. It was a quick battle with COVID, but I don't know what the protocol is now to get her back to school because she still tested positive yesterday. You know, she was down and out yesterday, but she's like a new person today. But thanks. I'll check it out. President Trump is the one who banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. President Trump is the one who cooperated with the feds to get this guy. President Trump is the one who committed to protecting women and kids. I think he is the one who cooperated with the feds to get this guy. Is she accusing him of orchestrating Epstein getting Epsteined? Seriously. I think she just did without realizing it. I'll read it one more time. President Trump is the one who cooperated with the feds to get this guy. President Trump is the one who is committed to protecting women and kids, Mace wrote in a post about the president, who was found liable of sexual assault against columnist E. Jean Carroll in a $5 million lawsuit in 2023. And then add to that the $81 million lawsuit for slander. So about $86 million that he owes her, that she doesn't expect to ever see a dime of it, but he's currently trying to get it overturned or something right now. He's appealing it, of course, but that might have just been denied actually in the last day or two. The Daily Beast reported in August that, contrary to Mace's claim, the disgraced financier remained a Mar-a-Lago member for more than a year after he was indicted. The Daily Beast has reached out to a representative of Mace for comment. Mace's defense of Trump came after several Epstein victims pleaded for him to release the Epstein files. And yeah, for him to say that this is a Democratic hoax, a couple of the survivors yesterday said specifically that they voted for him. But the more I thought about it, I thought probably most of the survivors probably voted for him, even if they didn't want to, just because he was saying that he was going to release the files. I'd be surprised if there was anybody that didn't vote for him for that, of the survivors. But maybe they didn't vote for him because they didn't believe that he would anyway. President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us, said actress Anushka Georgiou. Sorry. Anushka, I think, is the first name, and then De Georgiou. Sorry. Anyway, who alleges Epstein had abused her since she was 14. This is not a hoax. It's not going away, said survivor Marina Lacerda. On Tuesday, over 30,000 pages and several videos related to the Epstein investigations were released. Now, does anybody know how many protesters were present yesterday? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene said it was the largest protest that she'd seen since she'd been in the White House. And she's been there for a while, like 8 years maybe. I was there for a protest against school shooting. Maybe that was about 8 years ago. I'm trying to remember what year that was. No, it was only 5 years ago. Yeah, because my oldest, no, it was more than that. My oldest is 23. It was her 16th birthday, so it was 7 years ago. And there were a lot of people there. There was, I don't even know, hundreds of thousands, if not more. It was wild. It was very cool. And it felt very safe, very peaceful. You know, it was after that, after the shooting in Florida. It was the rally that the kids from that school organized. And one of the kids that organized that rally has his own YouTube channel now too. Let's see, where was I? This is what I just read. On Tuesday, over 30,000 pages and several videos related to the Epstein investigations were released. And again, I am curious why the missing minute of the Epstein video just happened to get released. I don't know if it just happened to get released yesterday. I think it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday night that it just happened to get released. Like another red herring. Though, I mean, you can't really see anything in the video anyway, although I do recommend watching it nonetheless. Though most of the documents were already public or were copies of old reports. According to the reports from the New York Times, the White House has possession of more than 100,000 pages of Epstein files. Like, that's so effing crazy to have that many pages and to be sitting on it. And only one person is in jail because of it. And she's been moved to a country club. Despite coming to Trump's defense, Mace was among the Congress members to sign Kentucky Representative Thomas Massey's discharge petition to force the release of fresh Epstein files. I was almost done reading it, and then it got all messed up the way it tries to make you go to all these other little rabbit holes. Stupid thing. Where was I? I found where I was. I'll read your comments in a second, you guys. Trump, known to have been a longtime friend of Little E, is facing backlash from all sides for objecting to the release of the Epstein files. Meanwhile, revelations about Trump's relationship with Epstein continue to pile up. I think that's the whole thing. But yeah, the things that Donnie said on audio tape about how he'd known him for 15 years, and that was, I don't know, in the 90s or the early 2000s. It might have been like 2002, because he's known him since at least 1987, but I think he's known him longer than that, in my opinion. When he said that he's a great guy, he likes the women as much as I do, although he likes them on the younger side. And then he said he definitely enjoys his social life. Like, now we know exactly what he meant when he said that. He definitely enjoys his social life. Let me just remind anyone who's confused about what a social life is. Graping people does not constitute a social life. But I guess his whole social life was orchestrating the, the traveling, the transporting, the buying and selling. That was his social life. I'm sure he was a transactional guy like the Trumpster fire. I'm sure neither of them hung out with anybody that they weren't doing a transaction with. And it's my belief that they were business partners, not only in the transporting, but in the cleaning of the cash, shall we say, and in tax evasion, big time. Hiding the money, offshore accounts. That's what Little E did. That's what he did for Les Wex, who needs to be spoken about more too. Like, he always gets glossed over. That needs to not happen. He set Little E up to do what Little E did. And it wasn't just a coincidence that Little E did those things. It's my belief that Les intentionally set him up to basically be his Kato Kalin, going back to the O.J. Simpson case. But rather than dealing substances, it was dealing sex. All the schools shootings are so sad, and it's so avoidable. It drives me crazy. They have made so many cuts to mental health, which is the thing they always say. There has to be more mental health. It's insane, isn't it? It's absolutely insane. So there was one other article that I wanted to read to you guys, and we were just at about 40 minutes. I wasn't going to be able to stay on too much longer today. Thanks for being here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. So I also wanted to share this article out of the Huffington Post. And I might not be able to. It looks like I could. No, here we go. I can. This was written yesterday at about noon. And let me see. It's Ron Dicker, and the title of it is Lauren Boebert Takes Rare Stance Against Trump. The usually loyal Republican firebrand found an issue close to home to oppose the president on. Republican Lauren Boebert, and if you don't remember, she's the one who was making out with her boyfriend in a play. I want to say the play was The Wiz, but I'm not sure. She was in a play with her boyfriend, mother of 3 or 4. She'd just been divorced or was going through her divorce. She was huffing from, one of those like e-cigarettes in the playhouse, in the theater. And the person sitting directly in front of her was 9 months pregnant and asked her not to be doing the puffing thing, and she got kicked out. And then she, as she's marching out of there, her top half is like falling out of her dress, and she's all belligerent and telling the staff who were kicking her out to basically screw themselves. Like a really lovely woman. I think that was right around the same time she got into politics, but maybe she'd been in politics for a while already. Obviously a low point, but still, that's her. And she's very transphobic, very homophobic, and very self-righteous. I think she's the one who was dating Chris Rock. Republican Lauren Boebert, Republican Colorado, put some space between her and President Trump for a change on Tuesday. The right-wing lawmaker brushed MAGA loyalists aside to join other Colorado lawmakers in pledging to fight Trump's decision to relocate U.S. Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. In a bipartisan protest that included all House and Senate members representing Colorado, the joint statement said the headquarters change will compromise security and waste money. Colorado Springs is the appropriate home for U.S. Space Command. The statement concluded, we will take the necessary action to keep it there. Colorado Springs is like Pullman, Washington. It's sort of known for a high rate of sexual assault. And unfortunately, it's because it has a high rate of military. And yeah, just for anybody who's not familiar with it, I went there once for a few days back when I was in college. Boebert did not advertise her opposition on X, formerly Twitter, but it spelled a rare split from Trump, whom she said was anointed by God to be president. Yeah, that's not delusional. The House member also appears poised to say yes to a potential floor vote to demand the Justice Department release the Jeffrey Epstein files that have not been previously viewed. That would defy Trump's wishes and leave the matter alone regarding his old pal Epstein, a well-connected sex offender, after the president's controversial about-face in interest. She already signed a discharge petition joining fellow firebrand and Trump disciple, basically, absolutely, Marjorie Taylor Greene. HuffPost has reached out to Boebert's team for comment. Here's the Colorado letter as presented by Senator Michael Bennet. But that's just all about the Space Command. I mean, it's a really busy city already, Colorado Springs is. It doesn't seem to me like the best choice to put it there with the population and the problems that they have already. But what do I know about city planning, right? Let's see, what say you, Annabise? Oh, I already read that one. So, yeah. You guys have any other questions or comments before we wrap up? It's going to be interesting with Alex Acosta on the 8th, I think. I think it's great that that's coming, even though I don't expect a lot from it since it's a voluntary conversation and it's going to be in private. I see it as a jumping off point. I see it as a starting point. I'm very hopeful that it's a really good thing. It's a big deal. You forgot to mention at the play, she was rubbing all over the date. Thank you, Patricia. I did forget to mention that. I blocked that out. It was too dramatic. Seriously. Yeah, they were really making out. Like, I mean, she had her hands all over him. We'll just leave it at that, right? I mean, she was completely spilling out of her dress on the top half. It was insane. And I think it's 4 kids that she has. And I don't think the divorce was final yet, but I think it was almost final. It was crazy. And wasn't it The Wiz, or was it a different play? It might have been like Beetlejuice or something like that. Maybe I'll look it up. At that place, she was also rubbing all over her date. It was their very first date as well. I did not know it was their very first date, Patricia. Thank you for sharing that. Let me see what does AI know about it? What play was Lauren Boebert making out with her date at in Colorado? I'm sure AI knows all about it. It was Beetlejuice, September 2023. So she was vaping, causing a disturbance and other inappropriate behavior. She was ultimately escorted out of the theater. She was kissing and groping her date, Quinn Gallagher, at the Temple Hoyne Boulay Theater in Denver, Colorado, during a performance of the musical Beetlejuice in September 2023. The pair was removed from the theater after audience members complained about their disruptive behavior, which included vaping, singing loudly, and recording the show. Following the incident, surveillance footage was released showing Boebert and her companion being affectionate in their seats. Boebert later apologized for her behavior. Yeah. How many kids does Lauren Boebert have? She has 4 sons. What a great way to raise your boys, huh? I thought it was 4. I have 4. I have 2 sons, 2 daughters. I mean, talk about midlife crisis, right? Oh, it's 10 p.m. for you, Helby. Gonna say good night. Needing my beauty sleep. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Yes, get your beauty rest. There's nothing more important than sleep. I mean, sleep's probably even more important than water, in my opinion. It's like fundamental. Her date was a Democrat, therefore she blamed him for her actions. Are you kidding, Patricia? Maybe that wasn't something they discussed until later. I wonder if it was their last date, since it was their first date. But they probably like went off somewhere and got a room. I mean, more than likely. What else would they do? They were probably buzzed with that type of behavior. It's more than likely. And yeah, I mean, for anybody going through a divorce, I've got sympathy. That's a hard thing to do, but you don't behave that way, especially when you have kids. I mean, even if you didn't have kids, that's only a real a-hole would behave that way in a theater. And when you're high profile and when you do have children, and yeah, what an idiot. I mean, she's got to be smart enough to know that everything is on surveillance tape in a theater like that. I mean, Denver, Colorado, I'm sure everything in the entire city is on surveillance tape, right? She really blamed him. You're not kidding, Patricia? That's hilarious. Oh, like that he reported her or something, that he's the one who made it high profile, or he was the one who was like making her be bad. He was a bad influence on her. That's so freaking funny. Correct. They never went out again. OMG. Yeah, that's a pretty bad first date when it's like on national news channels, huh? That is really good to know. Well, I'm so glad that you came in to the live today and shared that. That's fantastic to know. First and last date. And then he's got his name dragged through the mud on artificial intelligence for the rest of his existence. Probably when you Google him. So if he's ever dating anybody else, I would think the first thing anybody does these days when they're going to go on a date with someone is Google them. And then they're going to see that that was him. How sad. It was all that Democrats' fault. Well, yeah, those damn Democrats, they're all Satan lovers. So let me tell you before I wrap up a little bit about the new South Park, because I don't want to be I don't want to spoil it for anybody that wants to watch it, but watch it. It's funny AF. I thought at the beginning of it, I thought, oh, I guess they're not really going to be talking much about the president in this one, but I was wrong. So pretty much the whole theme of it was that Donnie is effing Aiton with an S. So the way they would say it was like, basically Donnie's doing Satan, but it had the double meaning of that he is that character. So it's effing hilarious. And Lucifer gets pregnant. So that's the spoiler alert. There's a bunch of other funny stuff, especially because it's about the little dolls. I forget what they're even called now. They're really expensive little dolls that the kids are all into, like my daughter's into them, and they are cute. But it's just another one of those things, like what was it? The little Beanie Babies, is that kind of thing. And it's also about the tariffs, and it's also about woke. It's hilarious. It's freaking funny AF. So definitely watch it if you like that sort of thing. And even if you don't, it took me a long time to appreciate the comedy of South Park. And I honestly never thought that I would. I guess I thought I was too highbrow for it. But it is extremely funny. And those guys, man, them and their multi-billion-dollar contract, I think it's like a $1.5 billion contract. And they're putting it all on the line with their comedy. But, I think we all need to just follow the beat of our own drum and do what we feel like is truth to ourselves as far as expressing ourselves. And if we feel that way, then there's nothing wrong with expressing it, in my opinion. So especially, the way I feel is that this person in that position of president is going to continue to cause more victimization. For crying out loud, he was victimizing the victims yesterday when he was trash talking them and saying that it was political hijinks, basically. He should pick up another word other than hoax, like hijinks. Let's do a quick thesaurus look. Other words for hoax. There's got to be a million. A prank, a jest, a trick, a ruse, deception. Yeah, there's like 96 similar words. Fraudulent, cheating, swindling, bluffing, conning, spoofing, scamming, put on. Like, it drives me nuts. Hornswoggle, there you go. That's the best one there. Snooker, sucker, put one over on, have on, put a fast one on. Kid. He's used this one, hasn't he? The BS, the bull crap. But yeah, counterfeit is another one. Sham, phony, forgery, copy. Fake. Did I already say fake? There's so many. Absurdity. It is definitely the theater of the absurd. Yeah, the fish story. Underhanded, crafty, sham. I think I said that one already. Forgery. Probably said that one too. Anyway, I'll put it down since I think I'm repeating a couple of them. It's one of my pet peeves is for anybody to keep reusing the same word again and again and again and again. And it just loses its meaning too. I mean, he's not doing himself any favors when he uses and overuses the same single individual word multiple times in a sentence, multiple times in a day, multiple day after day after day after day. But, you know, I don't want to give him any hot tips either. Donnie Two Dolls, absolutely evil Democrat manipulator. So yeah, what I started to say is how the radical right, how they like to say the radical left, those Democrats, they like to, like, I don't think they really believe it. I really don't. Maybe I'm ignorant, but you know, they like to pretend like Democrats are satanic worshipers or something. And it's interesting that they would go there because any kind of accusation, in my opinion, is a projection and or a confession. And that is another thing that they get into in this most recent South Park episode that just dropped yesterday and today, is the whole Titanic end of things. And I think that that is a huge element when you're dealing with the types of things that you're dealing with in the little e-files, in the Trumpstein files, let's just say. But I do need to wrap up. I love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here in my chat. I really appreciate you. And I have been in top chat this whole time. I thought I put it on live chat. I wonder if it reverted. I apologize if I missed anybody's comments. That voice makes me think of Luke Beasley. His videos in Ukraine were so good. I'm finishing, honey. Yeah, Luke Beasley has been awesome. Yeah, him and Adam Mockler and the I think it's called Democracy Docket or something like that. But I really dig Occupy Democrats. That's one of my favorite these days. You know, I always appreciate Midas Touch and Legal AF, but honestly, I don't want to trash talk anybody because I don't think the mudslinging, I'm not trying to mudsling. I'm trying to give constructive criticism, and it can be hard to take criticism constructively. But honestly, I appreciate what all of these channels are doing. All these radical left lunatics, right? I love them. They're great. But what I don't love about them is that none of the big channels will ever even hint at believing that there could have been any kind of election interference. None of them. I want to say the biggest channels that I've seen address it are probably like Titus, who I absolutely adore. If you don't know Titus and his podcast, check it out. He's effing brilliant. It's like him and his wife and their friend, and they're just great. So they will talk about the whole election scandal crap. And I want to say that Hal Sparks might too. And both of their channels are really big. Like they're both probably around 100,000 or so subscribers. But these superpower channels of the lunatic left, like Midas Touch, Legal AF, Adam Mockler, Luke Beasley, why can't they just say that maybe there's a possibility that there was some cheating going on with the election, but they don't think so? It's like they're so adamantly against it that it's, to me, it feels like they're selling out to the man. Like they're just not willing to even entertain that conversation for a second. And I find that to be extremely counterproductive, because maybe they didn't do anything illegal, but I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, there's been a lot of admission on E's part, on T's part, on Daddy Vladdy's part, and all of the research that Smart Elections and the Election Truth Alliance and Jessica Denson, there's evidence, there's hard evidence, but it's also really hard to follow because it's all statistics and graphs and bubble images and shapes, and the Russian tail on the chart. As far as the science of elections goes, they have found all of the evidence that yes, it was manipulated, it was cheated. And I know that the election interference with the electronic elections started here in Ohio before the year 2000. And that man, Michael Connolly, I think is the name of the IT guru from Columbus, who crashed in his airplane 2008, a couple of days after a lawyer that I know, Bob Fitrakis, had just deposed him about the election interference. And the Republicans that he worked with were pressuring him to take the fall single-handedly and say that there was nobody else in on it, that he did it all by his big old self, and he wasn't willing to do that. And so his airplane that he flew himself, he was the only one on it, had been tampered with a few times, and the other times he caught it. He, was able to fix it before something happened. But I think his name is Michael Collins. Let me just look real quick. IT guru who died in a plane crash in Akron, Ohio in 2008. Michael Connell. I think I got that right, didn't I? So let me just read you real quick. The Wikipedia says, at about 6 p.m. on December 19th, 2008, Connell was killed at the age of 45 in the crash of a single plane engine 1997 Piper Saratoga private airplane, which he was flying, which occurred in Lake Township between 2.5 and 3 miles short of the runway at the Akron Canton Airport near Akron, Ohio. I'm just wondering, I've never really thought about this, but I'm wondering if it could have been shot out of the sky. I don't know. Because especially when it's coming into land, so it's getting lower. Because that's like the plane up there in upstate New York that crashed a few months ago with the 6 people on it. The plane crash that was near the state lines of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York. That was right before they came in for a landing too. And yeah, landing and taking off are the most dangerous times. If there's going to be an accident, that's usually when they happen. But as far as sabotage goes, I don't know. I don't know how to sabotage an airplane. So it's just an idea that just came into my mind, so I thought I'd put it out there to see what you guys thought about it. Really American says it, but he's a bit much. Yeah, I haven't watched Really American that often. I'm always looking for new content creators, new to me. But I try to be so cautious because so many of them are full of crap, and they might seem good at one point, but then you find out later that they're insane, right? I mean, seriously, or that they're lying, that they're dishonest. Like, it's fine for people to change their minds. I mean, we are all going to change our minds on things if we're being open and honest and gaining more information. So yeah, like my criticism of these big channels is, why can't they just say, I don't think that the election was tampered with. I believe that he won fair and square. But what do I know? I'm not an election expert. It's not like I'm reviewing all the data myself. So when there are these experts that are reviewing it, it's just so closed-minded. It's crazy to me. Like, that's what makes me think, like, yeah, I know that they don't want to get sued, but it's also like this democratic thing where they just won't do the whole election denier thing because they were so dismissive of the Republicans in 2020, the election deniers, that then I think it backfired on them, you know? That's just my opinion. Oh, that's exactly what you just said, right? Think they saying interference, it may backfire on them. Well, and it's like, it's just going with the party line. It's I don't respect anybody who's just going to go with the party line. It's like, it's always good to be a critical thinker and have the ability to make your own decisions. Watch the content creators that you like, read the articles that you like. And we all know that a lot of times there's bullshit, or there's truth that's left out. There's a lot of truth that's left out of all this. The whole thing with the Epstein survivors is such a hot potato because our United States government of politicians has typically been abusing their power to take advantage or have their way with younger women, with interns like Chandra Levy and all that crap. That's been going on forever and a day, since as long as Washington, D.C. has been there. The politicians are effing pervs. I'll just say it. So yeah, they all have a lot to hide, whether they're Democrat or Republican. So the ones that have something to hide, which is probably more than 50% on both sides of the fence, everybody's got dirt on everybody. So they're all scared. So screw them all. I mean, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have things that you've done stupid, like the date that Lauren Boebert had. It's like, okay, it was a low point in your life. Do better next time, right? I mean, we've all done crazy stuff, I'm sure. I mean, not me, right? I've never done anything crazy. I do jest. I agree. That's why they won't say it. Yeah. I agree with that too. All right, you guys, love and light. Have a really good afternoon and hope to see you mañana. Drink your water, eat your protein, and put your feet up. Chillax.